What's going on, bro?
Oh, man.
How you guys doing?
What up? What up? I like the music.
Yeah?
Yeah, good choice.
Good. Good. Sorry, still got some people that I'm still trying to get in here right now. This is all still a little new.
It is what it is. You should probably send out the link earlier than like 5 minutes, you know.
I started 10 minutes ago, but 5 minutes it happened. Okay.
So, should be a pretty interesting chat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Got some juicy questions, man.
There we go. That's what I want. I want questions, good questions.
Oh, good. That's what we needed. You on the big screen.
There we go. That's what we want. All right. Someone is echoing.
Hopefully not me.
Let's see. Yeah, I think it is you. No, hold on. Let's see. Wow, still having some technical difficulties with people hopping in.
Other one echoing?
Let's...
Probably.
Nice mask.
Look at that. Hey, Katie.
Hey, just got out of Texas Roadhouse, you know?
There we go.
Exciting Wednesday night.
Well, it's best time for a podcast then.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, Tiago just got back from California, so, you know, time to go
You should get him.
celebrate.
We'll talk to him too.
Yeah, he might, I told him if he has time, he has to go pick up a car.
Should be fun.
That Texas Roadhouse?
Yeah, we were just at Texas Roadhouse for dinner.
And they have the best biscuits. Those cinnamon biscuits?
We literally just had a whole conversation about that. We're like, we think Texas Roadhouse has the best bread.
Yep.
And then, yeah, we were like, top, you know, definitely top. And then we were like, Red Lobster is up there as well.
Yeah.
I've waitressed at all these places, so
You got the hookups to the bread.
I hate my life.
It's
So,
very sound.
yeah, I hate my life. So I've waitressed at all these places. But
How many are we waiting on, Clement?
Mai's having some difficulties hopping in for some reason. You guys had no issues, right? You just click the link?
Just click the link, type in the name.
Clement, I might when I get home. I might switch out.
Yeah,
my
to a
phone
To your laptop?
and just, like,
Yeah, that's
go with
fine.
my laptop. Yeah.
Yeah, that's no problem.
You have a really fancy setup at the house.
Oh yeah, of course.
He's ready.
You ready? I was telling Chaz, I was like, I don't really know how much I have to offer, considering I've never dated as an adult. But
It's all about the opinions of it, you know?
Correct. Exactly. I want everyone's diverse opinion.
I previewed the questions
And
ahead of time as the teacher that I am, so I'm ready.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm
I think
ready.
everyone tried, but we'll see. We'll see.
Probably has like a Word document out. Like, you're the
not
counterpoint.
quite, but I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Okay. Jeez.
LJ, is
What
Amanda
it-
here? I can't see everybody.
No, she's not. She, her friend just moved, so they're having like a housewarming thing. That I conveniently had an excuse not to join in. Thank you, Clement.
Phenomenal.
I gotta do it for Clement.
Yeah, for Clement. I'm working from home tomorrow, which I'm super pumped about because they vaccinated 150 teachers in my district. So I was able to get vaccinated prior, but 150 teachers got their second shot today. And they're like,
Nice.
ooh, we're not going to be able to get subs when everybody's getting like fucking rocked by the second dose tomorrow. So I get
So
to work from home
Stan,
tomorrow.
by the way, everyone here is in New Jersey.
Oh.
So this definitely, because he's planning on actually getting some property out here.
Oh, okay.
So
Where do you live right now?
I live in Mount Vernon. It's like right above the Bronx.
Yeah.
oh, Mount Vernon.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm looking to get some property out in New Jersey and live out there.
Where are you looking? Like what area?
Well, I was thinking like Jersey City and maybe like Newark if it's like a nice area. But Clement was telling me that Newark is just all trash, right?
Okay.
I hear there's
So
pockets of good areas in there.
She probably
Newark-
knows a little bit.
Newark has pockets. The thing is,
Yeah.
like, my best friend's husband's from Newark. I have a couple friends that are from Newark. The issue is property value wise, you're not going to get your money because your school systems. You kind of need to go to an area where your school systems are going to be solid. Jersey City, interestingly enough, is gonna what they're projecting is Jersey City is going to be like the new Hoboken. So if you can
Yeah.
get property in Jersey City specifically aligned, kind of like with the downtown area, that would probably be a better investment because I know they're trying to flip Newark currently. It's not really working. So
What's up, guys?
probably wouldn't invest.
Hey,
How
Hi.
you doing?
So,
how y'all doing?
Welcome.
Official Soul Tie. Happy to see you guys here.
Happy to be here.
We are happy to be here. Sorry, we had to have some technical difficulties. But
Sorry, everyone is really having technical difficulties right now, but I am super excited that everyone's here.
I literally
Yes.
cannot believe you.
Official.
I like that.
Let's go, guys. I'm super pumped that everyone is here today for the panel, and anyone watching at home right now. Welcome to Clement-Quartey's YouTube channel. All right, I talk about my life lessons, and today we're gonna go over our life lessons here with a couple of questions, and let's see how you guys feel about them. All right, so let's start out with the first questions. You guys have seen them. All right, you guys know how you feel about them. So let's start with the first one. Do modern day men and women know what each other desire in a companion?
Oh, that's number one. What the? You're
Yes,
giving
I
me
know.
out of order.
I know. I expected you guys to be ready for the order. That's why I flipped it up on you. All right, let's see who wants to go first. Let's start out with Stan.
do modern day men and women know what each other want? Well, let me just start by saying I'm in a relationship. I've been in a relationship for 5 years, so I don't know the current climate in real life. So I can only kind of go through the internet
through your
and what
experience.
everybody's talking about.
Yeah,
Man,
your experience.
it looks like people have no idea what each other want at all. It's both ways. Men don't know what women want. Women don't know what men want. We all have an idea of what we think we want, but a lot of people don't even know for themselves what they want. So, for example, let's just go for. I'm going to start off with the ladies. No offense to you guys.
And there we go. Let's go.
You guys have
Hey,
been-
hitter. My man is going after it. He's going for the kill.
Well, you know what? Let me just start off by saying, man, for us, for men, like we always grow up and we're watching like TV shows, we're watching movies, so we pick up on things like, oh, bring her flowers, open doors for her, pull out chairs, all that stuff like that. But there's not really movies or anywhere in the media that shows women what men really want. And even if it is what men want, it's not what men really do want. Because a lot of times people think they know what men want, but they really don't.
Fair.
That's fair.
All right, LJ.
I kind of agree with that. I mean, the most I would have to add is, I'd like to think that people do want to know, do want to really know what other people want, but a lot of the times he's right. They don't even know what they want. So it's hard to really get that from someone else when you don't even really know what you're doing. So I'd like to say I wish people would be a little more keen to it, but probably not.
What's up, Mai?
Hi, sorry guys.
Hello.
Difficulties.
Yep, that's common. I hear.
So you were saying, LJ?
Yeah, I was just saying. Yeah, I agree. I agree with what he's saying. Basically, it's just I don't think that a lot of people know what each other wants, and if they do, they probably aren't really sure of it.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
So saying the question over to you, do modern day men and women know what each other desire in a companion?
I think that the first question is, what do you want? I think you have to know what you want in order for you to let the other person know what you expect from them and what it is that you're looking for in a relationship. And if there's no communication, I don't think you guys will ever know that. I don't think, like, for instance, with my relationship with somebody, and does he know my
I think, hey,
desires?
Mai,
Yeah.
I think you have a slight echo coming through. If you could just,
Do I?
yeah.
I think.
Do I still?
No, that sounds a little better.
Better?
No,
Yeah,
I think
that sounds a little
everyone.
better.
I think
I
everyone
think it's
needs
Stan.
to mute. Yeah, I think everyone needs to mute when they're not speaking because that's going to help with feedback.
Okay, all right.
That makes sense.
Let's go.
Is
There
this,
you go. That's a teacher logic right there.
you guys are good?
Yep, go for it.
Going still?
Yeah, that's
keep
you.
going.
I'm good. Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, so for instance, I feel like, you're asking, like, in the modern day relationship, do we know what each other wants? And I think the only way you're going to know what each other wants is if you let the other person know what you want. Because if me and Clement, let's say, were to get into a relationship, how would he know what I want if I don't let him know what it is that I want? What are my desires? What do I expect as a partner? What do I need from him? Because everybody is different. So my wants and needs might be different from Katie's wants and needs. So if he was going to date me or Katie, he's going to have to bring something different to the table because everybody wants something different. And I think people go into relationships prematurely thinking that, like, one color fits all. Every girl's the same, every guy's the same, and that's absolutely wrong. I think everybody wants and desires something different, and it also depends on, like, what their childhood was like. What did they get that they loved? What was it that they didn't get that they wanted? And that's something that has to be communicated. I think that communication is definitely, like, one of the number one things in a relationship, but also comprehension. Do I understand what it is that you want? Because I can tell you the whole time, I want this. And if you don't get it or you don't know how to deliver it, it's not really going to mean much. So I think the only way to know that desire is to communicate and to be so authentic. And I think people aren't authentic because they think that if I tell you what I really want, it might scare you away. And sometimes people are so beat to just be in a relationship that they're not real. And eventually, it's going to hit the fan and it's not going to work out because you can't be fake forever. Eventually the real you is going to come out. So just be that upfront. So, if that person can give you what you want, why waste your time and why waste that other person's time? In reality, what you want should be put on the table right away. And not waste each other's time because time is of the essence. We don't have that. It's not guaranteed. So I'm not going to be with somebody. Let's say I want to get married. That's me. If I meet a guy and he tells me straight up, I don't want him to get married, I don't want kids. Next, nothing wrong with him, but he's just not for me. But if I didn't ask him that from the get, I would waste months, weeks, years on somebody who eventually won't ask me to marry him. And I'll be like, what was I doing this whole time? Well, you guys should have communicated that from the get. That's something really serious. So that's my answer.
So then no, in short?
No. I think it depends.
She's saying it takes effort. It takes effort.
Yeah, communication, no. But I think in reality, like, do people know? I don't know because some might and some don't. Like I said, it's not a one size fits all.
Okay.
My relationship, I'm sure, is very different from, whoever's in a relationship in here. It could be very different. It's not better. It's just different because we're different people.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Denisha Tavares, step up to the panel. Let's go.
He's gonna answer first.
All right.
So, my answer is no. I think it's more of like a fantasy. Like they say, like men and women will say, I want this type of male as a companion. I want this type of woman as a companion. But in reality, they go for like something opposite. Like it don't match. Like what they want and what they go for, it doesn't match. Like that's what I say. I say it's more of a fantasy, if anything.
That's fair.
Because
Yeah.
You want me to go, or are you still going?
No, that was just
I would say no as well, and I can see why you said that. I think a lot of people, like everybody else said, they don't even know what they want themselves. Most of the times when you're trying to figure out what you want is really what somebody else wants or what you've seen. So you're just saying, you know, I want a man this way. He's going to do this, this, and that. Or I want a woman that's like this. But when you get these things, sometimes you don't even know what to do with them. And what are you bringing to the table as well? Because that's another thing. A lot of people feel like, well, some people feel like, well, they should just accept me for who I am. But when it's the other person that they're seeking, they have higher expectations for them. So I feel like both men and women do not know what they want. We just go off of what we see. And I feel like you really don't learn that until later on. Like, I feel like it's such a learning process because people change. Men change, women change if you're in a relationship with them. And you have to have the understanding that things are going to change. And your companion, which you might be seeking, might not actually be the best fit for you either. There's just so many factors, I feel like, that go into play. So in short, I would say no, modern men and modern women do not know what they want. They just
have no idea. Yeah, okay. I like that. And Katie, are you still alive?
It's been a rough drive.
I see that. Oh, there. Well,
that was the answer right there.
She didn't even want to answer.
What's your answer?
What's my answer? Oh, absolutely not. I don't think this generation we really were taught to properly date each other. We have no idea what the opposite set actually wants. We were told to go to college a lot of the time. We were told to focus on our career. We were told to really do everything we can to move ourselves by ourselves in our lives, as opposed to learn to work with someone else and move through life together. So we don't really know what the opposite sex wants because we've just learned to move through life by ourselves. That's what we've been told. That's what we've been raised to do. So now we have a generation of young people that really don't know how to cooperate with anyone else besides themselves.
You think that's like an us generation thing, or?
I think it's not just an us generation, but we're definitely the worst right now. I think the generation after us is going to be far, far worse, but it's progressively getting worse as time goes on. We're not really learning how to properly date from the older generation before us, prior to us.
Yeah, fair.
That's how I'm looking at it. All right. How you guys feel about that? That was good.
But nor do we really need to know overall, from a general standpoint, what the other sex wants, right? Like when you're dating, well, it depends on what you're dating for. But if you're dating for long-term commitment, long-term marriage, it kind of goes back to what Mai said, that you have to know that one particular person. Because I know, like, I'm assuming, Official Soul Tie, you guys are a couple. So I'm assuming that. I don't know if you guys are.
Whoa! You can't assume that. It's Soul Tie, but you can't assume.
I'm sorry.
That's a good assumption. But yes.
But it goes to the thing, like, so now you guys are together. Quite frankly, you don't care at all what the other sex wants. You just care what the other person wants, right? So that's the same thing from our relationship. Like, we have like an open policy where we continuously talk and we tell each other what we want. And a lot of times I feel like some people are afraid to tell their partner what they really want from them because they don't want to feel judged. They don't want to feel shamed, you know?
I agree with what you're saying. And I want to say, when you're in a relationship, that is true. All you care is like, what do you want? Because you're with that other person. So you're not really looking at other people from the outside. But at the same time, I do care what other people want for their own relationships and what they're seeking, because you can see it's difficult to find somebody, and for men and women. So I'm still trying to provide advice as much as that I can, but it's not easy. It's not easy to find because you don't know what you want. How can you, it's such a high expectation to have for somebody else if you can't even meet that expectation for yourself. That's how I feel.
A lot of luck. All right.
Also,
So
there's this whole "take me as I am" thing, and I know people in relationships. There's no such thing as "take me as I am." Like everybody, you have to change at least the slightest bit to mesh with that other partner that you got.
I just
Like-
want to add something to that. I think that people think that being in a relationship is a self-seeking thing. It's really choosing that person who I want to serve, right? Like my boyfriend, it's like my priority isn't just getting what I want. I mean, yeah, I want to be loved and I want to make sure that I'm getting what I want. But if my priority is I'm gonna serve him and his priority is he's gonna serve me, how can that relationship go wrong when it's so selfless? Right. And I think people are always just looking like, what am I getting out of this? Well, what did I get? Look at all this stuff I did. And when you're keeping tabs like that, it's just not gonna happen. And if people think that they're gonna find someone they're never gonna argue with, you're gonna argue with someone. You just have to choose a person that's worth arguing with. Because there's no perfect couple, right? You're not gonna like, because I could easily be like, oh, you know what? We've been arguing so much this week. This means I'm not supposed to be with him. I'm supposed to be somebody else. Guess what, boo? I'm gonna date the next person and I'm gonna find something else to argue about because you're human and you'll clash. So that's my thing, is that sometimes people think being in a relationship they're so selfish about it. It's just self-seeking when it should be like, I'm with you. You're my man. I'm here to serve you. What do you need from me? And if he approaches it the same way, that's where it's at. That's where it's at, where it's like, I'm here to do what you need. You need from me. I'm here to support you. I'm here to hold you down. But that has to be a two-way street as well, because it can't be just one way. Eventually, that person is gonna bounce because they're not gonna put up with it where it's just me giving, and you taking, and never giving back. You have to both pour equally. So
that sounds a lot more like a gender role, is what you're saying. Katie's back.
She's like, out of the car, home, comfortable. Good.
Well, I was just about to ask her to share her point, but
no, she ran.
She's not about it.
I had it. Sorry, I literally was driving home from Texas Red House and I disconnected. I heard you guys and I was like trying to speak and I was like, no, they can't hear me. Are we still on the first question?
Correct. Do modern day men and women know what each other desire in a companion?
I think it honestly really depends on your age group and where you are in life. So I apologize, I don't see your guys' names. The couple here, officials don't talk. I heard you speaking. I couldn't see. I heard you on my phone. I really truly agree with a lot of the points that were made in terms of like where you are in life. But one of the things that really resonated with me was looking at yourself. One of the best pieces of advice that one of my best friends gave me was, you cannot expect someone to come into a relationship without faults, without looking at yourself first. So it's hard to, like, I feel like it's human nature to be like, I want X, Y, and Z from my partner without understanding who you are as a person. I think it's fine to have high expectations, but you also have to understand that a relationship's about compromise. I have been with the same person for 14 years now. So I was like joking. I was like, I've never dated as an adult. So we've been, but one of the things that we've had to learn how to do is grow to be the partner that we need the other person to be. And that takes a lot of work. It really does. And I've seen a lot of growth in my husband, but I've also seen a lot of growth in myself, and it hasn't always been easy. But you can't, as I see my friends moving through the stages of dating, I think now that we're getting older, we're in our late 20s, you start to understand what you want. And if you find a partner, like I said before, like if you want to get married and you want to have children, you're going to find a partner that wants to get married and have children. And if you can find someone who has the same morals, same values, hopefully same interests, all of these things, I think that you can find common ground. But I'm only starting to see this now as we got older. If we were to have this conversation, Clement, like 3 years ago, I'd be like, absolutely not. I don't think any person wants. But as you start kind of realizing, like, this is where you want your future to be, if that's what you want for your future, I do think that we're starting to kind of see you can figure it out. But I think it comes with maturity and age.
All right. That was good. I like that. I liked all the answers here. So let's move on to our next question. Let's see. let's throw it out here. Stan, you getting a little nervous over there? All right. Is judgment needed when it comes to dating? All right. Let's see. Denisha and Tavares, let's start off with you guys.
I'm gonna say yes. I feel like everybody judges everybody. It don't lie, and nobody can sit here and act like they don't judge anything or anybody. And I feel like there's different types of judgment. Like some people judge people just to be rude, honestly, just to say something. But some people judge them and be like, I see why this is happening, but I feel like you could do better. Or there's different types of judgment. Yeah. So, and especially if you're seeking a relationship and dating, you have to judge people, like their habits, their goals. Like you honestly, everybody's judging people's movements. I don't see how you couldn't, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think judgment is critical when you're looking for somebody. When it comes to dating, I do think I think you honestly have to be open to like judge them. Like you cannot I know you can't hold things against people, but you have to take that in to really know a person. To me, like pay attention to like how they do certain things, how they move. Like if they say, for example, how can I put this? I'm trying to say like if they say like they're a hard worker, but you see them at home all the time. It's like
you pay attention to their
like
habits.
your ethic don't match your action.
Yeah,
like that's a example of judgment. So stuff like that, I do look into. Like when me and her first started, that's what I looked into.
Yeah,
judgment. No, so you judged her when you guys first started.
Yeah,
I judged.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. That is fair. LJ.
Yeah, good. I kind of wanted to say something. This is why I was kind of hoping your questions were in order, because I thought that this was the easy one that everyone kind of like understood was obvious. Because I'm pretty sure everyone here is going to just answer, hell yeah, you need to judge in dating. It is what it is. You know, you can't not judge people just because you feel bad about it. Like you need to know their goals, what they want, what they do in their free time. You know, you gotta, because it all matters when you're picking someone out for life, of course. So I think everyone's gonna, pretty much solemnly agree that judgment is not only like necessary, but like it's just part of life.
Stand by. You guys agree? Oh,
I have a question actually. What exactly do you mean by judging? Like, do you mean as in like, I'm trying to see how you are, or is it like the shaming type of judging? Like, is that question going towards shaming? Like, is shaming necessary? Is that what you were asking?
Yes, shaming as well.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You got to like specify. He's right. You do got to clarify, because there's another question where you're gonna have to clarify too.
Okay.
I thought that was the juiciness of the question. Like when you said judgment, you really mean shaming. You don't mean judgment. You mean shaming, correct?
Well, I mean,
give us an example.
Are they that far apart? I mean, listen.
Give us an example.
I was thinking, Stan, I'm right with you, because I'm like, judging is something we're actually really supposed to practice not to do. We definitely do it, right? We all definitely judge people. Like I could like look at someone and be like, and that's for me, it's a part of growing and being self-aware of. I could easily like, it's so easy to look at someone and be like, she shouldn't be wearing that, right? But that's my opinion, me judging her. And that's where it comes into edit of like, I shouldn't judge them. So I don't know if I know what you guys are saying, because there are definitely moments, because I'm so not perfect. There are definitely moments I'll see something that he may do and I'm like, ooh, I'm not with that. But that word judge is so negative that it's like, I don't know if judging is really.
That's why I wanted that word.
I want to judge him, but I try not to judge him. But I definitely have an opinion about it.
A strong opinion.
If I don't know if like that's making sense, but I'll definitely have opinion about like something someone does or something he does, because I'm in a relationship, and be like, oh no, like that wasn't good or whatever. And maybe that is the word judging. I just hate that word judging. So I am right there because I'm like, I'm not sure, guys. I'm not sure. Like, what we mean by judging.
High expectations. Can we change it to like? Can we change it to expectation?
No,
like
I don't want the nicer word. I want the hurtful word.
The thing is, I think judgment's the right word. I just don't think people like to hear it. But it is a judgment, and that's the point.
It is.
Like
it is.
you just can't assume that all judgment is bad, because there is good judgment. You know, that's you disagree?
The definition, I literally just looked up the definition because I feel like sometimes we don't understand the exact definition of judgment. But when you look it up, it says judgment is the ability to make considered decisions or come to sensible conclusions. Okay. So I feel like that's a fair definition. So I know we usually have a negative connotation, but it can go negative and positive. So that's all I want to say. So it's a little bit more clarified when you're answering, I guess.
We'll still use the word judgment because people don't like it. Yeah.
I think you have to use good judgment, right? Like if I meet someone, I have to use good judgment on judging whether this person is suitable for me or if this person is a good person to be in my life. That for sure. I think you definitely have to have good judgment when it comes to people that you're going to surround yourself with. And that's like what we're talking about is in a relationship. I have to judge right away. Is this person going to be something that's going to add value? Mm-hmm. Or is this person going to bring me down the wrong path? That right off the bat, for sure, I believe you have to have good judgment in that. And you will have to judge someone whether you want that person in your life or not, or whether they're going to be good for you in your life or not. So, yeah.
Look at John stepping up.
Telling us the answers we want to hear.
I think the key word in that definition for judgment was sensible. So upon like sensible reasoning, I think a lot of people, well, the way people are walking around these days, judgment is only good when you have good judgment. A lot of people have horrible judgment. Like they do not understand. They have horrible judgment. Like, for example, you mess with like an Instagram girl and you think she's not gonna want attention from anybody else. You think she's gonna act a certain way. So like, what did you think was gonna happen? Like you have like pretty bad judgment. If like you had a baby by like the wrong type of person, you have bad judgment in the person that you picked. So I think judgment is only good when we use it, when you have good judgment and you use it to progress and actually do well. What do you guys think about that?
I think that's a good way of putting it. I do agree. You know, it is, maybe you can call bad judgment more of like an opinion. I mean, you know, but it's just hard to judge based on like, you know, you don't really know what's right and what's wrong half the time. So you can't really say something's more of opinion than a judgment. But yeah, I agree. I mean, it should be coming from like a logical train of thought, and that should lead to your judgment of a person. Like you shouldn't just be like reading it by the book and then the cover and then just judging the book. So, you know, but yeah, I think this one's pretty easy. To be fair, I still think like even after, you know, we read the definition, it makes a lot of sense that you need judgment.
You do. Absolutely. Let's give a quick moment and a shout out. Stan, could you mute yourself for a second?
Katie wants that talk. All right. When you see people flickering the mute.
I just want to give a quick shout out to that Office background for you guys. Soul Tide, The Office right there. Loving it. You see it in the back? There it is. Next to that YouTube.
Funny. Yeah, I like that.
My favorite show.
I like the whole background.
Put it in the background. Everybody loves Office.
I love it. Love it. All right. Cool. For anyone else hopping in right now, welcome to Clement-Quartey, My Life Lessons channel. All right. Where we talk about my life lessons and how they can help you out. And here's a panel that we are going to talk over a couple of different issues and how they could possibly help you out. So our next question is, when dating with a purpose, if a man makes more money, then the more options he has. When a woman makes more money, the less options she has. What are your thoughts?
Can you clarify that question? Like, what do you mean by that?
Meaning what? I thought it was pretty obvious.
Give me an example. Like, what options are they losing out on by making more money?
Dating.
Like less of a pool to pick from? Like,
correct.
People picking them less? Like, what exactly?
Well, people picking them or them picking people, whichever one. It's just dating in general.
Okay.
So
let's go first. I don't really have a great answer. I don't really have a great answer. I don't really know what that means exactly. Like,
I mean, there's no great answer really. It's just your thought on it. Your thought on the phrase.
I don't that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't really understand what options they're losing out on. I don't think like it limits their pool. If they are making more money and they have like an ambitious future and they're also looking for someone who's like ambitious and makes a lot of money, then I could see that specifically being, you know, a limitation that they're putting on themselves. But like, if they're just making more money, I don't see how that limits them. So I would need to hear other people's answers to like understand, I guess.
Stan, you want to hop in?
I get the question. When I read that, I was like, oh, okay. I think, yeah, because I think automatically just in forever, it was that the man is supposed to provide, right? So like girls are just like, and some, you know, I think especially nowadays, it's like everyone kind of just wants to do what they want to do. So for, you know, some girls, I'm not going to say every girl, if they find out, some people will actually just date a guy because he has money and he has nothing else to offer her. That's why sometimes like girls will date a man who's like 20, 25 years older than her, not caring because she knows she's going to be taken care of. Sometimes that stems from like a daddy issue or something like that. But yeah, I think that the man is supposed to provide, right? When I think now times have changed because now women are like becoming entrepreneurs. Women are like going out there, getting what they want, doing what they want, and really being overachievers, where it wasn't like that back in the day. We already know that. And I think for a man to not want to be with a woman who makes more money than him, that could be an insecurity on his end, or he could just really have that like macho personality where he feels the need that he has to provide, you know, where he could have been raised that way, where the man is supposed to provide for the woman. So that could be like a crossing of why he wouldn't date her. And then some men can just go with it and be like, hey, like, yo, she makes good money. I love her. And you know what? That's awesome. Great for her. And it may push him to want to, you know, make more money himself because of the fact that she makes more money.
So what about the woman's point of view?
I think you mean in the sense of why a woman would date a guy who makes more money? Or let's say I make more money than him?
Correct.
I wouldn't care. I've already told my boyfriend, I'm like,
I'm thinking dating with a purpose. So I'm thinking long term, you're thinking marriage. He's going to be making less than you for the rest of your future.
I personally wouldn't care.
Okay.
I don't care. I don't care if I make more money than him because I've always been resilient in that way of wanting to do what I want to do. And if it's going to make me, you know, 6 figures, 7 figures, whatever it may be, then to each his own. But I don't feel like I'm not going to, because then that makes me having to now search for a man who I think is going to match that. It's already hard to find a man who's just a decent man. So now I have to find a man who's going to match whatever my income is. That for me, that's crazy. If I find someone, there's just certain things that like money can't buy. If he's loyal, if he's honest, I don't care if I make more money than him. The more money we make, the more money we make, whether it's him or me, I'm okay with that.
Do you think you represent the majority of women?
I don't know. I think probably not. Probably not. You know, I mean, there are some women who are really ambitious in that way and don't care, but some may want that in a sense of like, oh, she wants him to make more money. That's it's so hard because like I said, like what I said from the beginning, everybody's so different. But that I can't answer. I don't know. I don't know, you know, I don't know how it would be for the girls that I know and like the people in my family and my friends, we wouldn't care who makes more money. I think like if you're going to get married, it's really not going to matter because it's going to be both your money anyway. Mm-hmm. So unless you're going to sign a prenup, whatever, and that's to each his own. But me personally,
that could have been a good question.
If I make more money than him, I don't care. I really don't care because I'm not with him for money. I'm with him because of everything else that he brings me. If he has money that comes along with it, great, awesome, that's cool. That's more.
Sound a lot happier with that money.
Yeah, like that's for us. More things for us to do than if he makes even more money. But that's not what I see. Because if that's the main thing that I seek, I would have been with somebody a long time ago.
Okay.
You know? So
Stan the man.
Cool. Can you ask a question again? Please?
Yeah, of course. When I find it. When dating with a purpose, if a man makes more money, the more options he has. When a woman makes more money, the less options she has.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, definitely. Wholeheartedly agree. As your income goes up, you definitely have more options. I don't think anybody can debate that. That's why Hugh Hefner was about what 70, 80 years old, and he had like 10,000 girlfriends, and they're not with him because he's such a cool guy. They're with him because he has money. Take away all his money, that he's just some old man. That's it.
You wouldn't say
Now,
his personality?
oh yeah, people love his personality, right? Yeah, so that might be it. Now the other way around for the woman, that she has less options the more she makes. I also agree with that, but and that's just generally not everybody's like mine. Because once you make a certain amount, for a lot of women, that's when they cut. That's a cutoff. They don't even see anybody making less than that. So let's say they're making 100K. They're like, yo, if you're making, they might give you 90, they might give you 80. But if you're making below that, they're not even looking for you. They're not even checking for you. And that's not right. They can definitely do that. I would say we talked about earlier what the opposite sex wants, and more often than not, women want a provider. They want a protector, a provider, and so how could you be a provider for me when you're making less than me? You know, we understand. Like, well, I don't think anybody particularly has an issue with that, but that is the case. So that's why you have less options. You have less options, not really because other people are not looking for you, mostly because you guys aren't looking for somebody making less. But there's some who are, and the ones that are, they have more options. But if that's not the case, then they don't. And one more thing, for when, let's say you have a situation where the woman is making more money, it's a twofold thing. Sometimes it is that the man is insecure and he can't really deal with the fact that he can't provide whatnot. But there's also a flip to it. There's a lot of times when the woman is making more money and she doesn't give him that exact respect that she would if she was dating somebody else. So it's really both things. It's not just one or the other.
Katie, you want to hop in?
I think from my perspective, it's not necessarily about money. For me, it's always been work ethic. I pride myself on being the hardest worker in the room at all times, and so I expect that from my partner. One of my faults actually is I really don't respect people that don't work hard. And as I go into this administrative leadership position, hopefully it's something I'm working on, because I don't respect not working hard. Like, we all have to hustle.
I think we can all say on the panel. Whoops. Sorry, continue.
No, you're fine. I think one of the hardest things that I'm personally struggling with right now is, so I graduate with my master's in 12 days, so I'm super pumped about that.
Congrats.
And thank you. And thanks, guys. And I'm getting ready to go, hopefully, to be a principal. So for me, that's like honestly, at a minimum, it's like a $40,000 jump if I go into this position. But I'm also getting ready to start a family. And there's a part of me that's a little bitter about the fact that I have to put my career on hold to have a family. And so for me, I think about the sacrifices as a woman that I have to make for my career, how I will have to do X, Y, and Z. And that's also, I am a woman who also has privilege. So my best friend is a Black woman in business, and she has to work twice as hard. And so for her career, like, she, her and her husband, thankfully, are very successful. But, she says to me, she's like, I have to work twice as hard as any person that comes into the room. And so I think it all kind of comes down to, it's not necessarily money, but it's work ethic and where you go from there. Because how can you, if you're working so hard, how can you respect someone that's just kind of gliding by? So it's not about money, it's about how hard you're working. And that's kind of the way I've always viewed it. Chaz and I have not always made the same amount of money. He's currently making more. If I go into this new position, I'll make more. Eventually, hopefully, we'll level out. But I think it's as long as we're both working as hard as we possibly can and trying to advance ourselves and educate ourselves, I think we're on solid playing field. But there's a lot of factors into play. As a woman, especially, like, if you want to have a career, you have to pause your career at some point if you choose to have a family. If you choose, and you also have to face other barriers that your partner might not face in the workforce as well. So I think there's a lot of kind of layers to that.
What I wanted to say earlier was I think everyone on the panel would agree that really anyone that's not putting in any kind of effort in their life, no one would respect. Honestly, I think we could all say that anyone that's not really trying that hard in their life, it's like it's really hard to kind of respect or throw respect in that direction. But official soul tie, you guys step up to bat.
So with this question, I think everybody's answers were actually very interesting. When dating with a purpose, if a man makes more money, then the more options he has. I agree with that. And because, like everybody has basically said, most women are looking for a provider. So the more money you got, we could do something, because maybe I could just stay at home and be a stay-at-home mom. Maybe I can just do a little bit and then I'll be fine, So I feel like most of the time that is the case. Now, when we're looking at a woman, it definitely lowers your options. And I think that's for various reasons. It is hard from what I've seen when women make more money than their significant other, but I feel like that also depends on the gap. So if it's like, okay, like somebody said 100,000, I make 100,000, let's say he makes 90,000. That's fine. Or I make 40,000, he makes 35,000. That's fine. It's close. But if I ain't gonna lie, he knows I have a high expectation for him to make a certain amount of money, and because I have a high expectation for me to make a certain amount of money. Now, my issue for me personally would just come into play with that gap, because like Katie said, it depends on an ethic that's behind it. Now, it depends on what you're looking for as well when you're looking for this relationship with purpose, because some people's purpose is, I'll go out here and make this money as long as you can stay here and take care of the household, whatever, it just depends. But there is a certain mindset that is associated with making a certain amount of money, even though I know we weren't talking about a specific amount because that's everybody's preference. But I know that is, for me, there's a certain mindset that you have to have. And this question actually reminded me of a situation that happened on social media not too long ago with B. Simone, when she was saying she doesn't want to date a guy that works a 9 to 5 because she's an entrepreneur. And she wasn't saying it's because you work a regular job. It's just the fact that there's a certain mindset that she has that she wants her significant other to have that can align. Not saying that there's not similarities between the two, but that's how she felt. And I know that was a big issue. So overall, the statement, I definitely think a man has more options. A woman, I really do feel like does have less options, but depending on the type of man she wants. So you can go if you want.
All right. So, like you said, when a man is dating with the purpose, when he makes more money, yes, he does have more options. Because like everyone said, because then a woman, like she could work less, she don't have to do as much. But when a woman makes more money, that means basically to some men, she will be the head of the household, which a lot of men has insecurities with their woman running the household because they feel men should run the household, not the woman. So a lot of men will feel insecure and intimidated by the woman. And like I said, with the woman that makes more money, she's going to have more expectations than a woman who's making less money, because then she's like, if she's making that much more money, she's obviously doing something that's possibly more than likely keeping her busy, which means if y'all have a family, who's going to watch the kids? If the kids in daycare, she probably paying for daycare. So it's like the man will have to have something going on. So a lot of men will see that as intimidating. So they'll be like, okay, you're already here and I'm right here. That's not going to work. So they'll back away. That's why I see the women that's having less options.
That's fair.
Yeah. What else was it? When they're dating the purpose, it makes more money. Yeah, so that pretty much summed it up.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, you wrote down your answer and everything. Good. You came ready. You came prepped. All right. So I have a quick video that I actually want you guys to watch, and we're gonna comment on that and then come back to the rest of the questions. All right. So here, hold on. here.
You need an IT
It
guy?
I might. Okay.
Okay, so just like don't trust them.
Yes.
Can everyone hear it? Thumbs up.
Okay. Just a fun
Perfect.
one.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself?
I'll definitely say a 10.
You're a 10?
Yeah, a 10
Okay.
of course.
Does that mean like there's no room for improvement, or
No, always room for improvement, but I just feel that I have a lot to bring to the table. So yes.
If there was one thing you could improve about yourself, what would that be?
I'll say I don't know.
Me?
Yeah.
Halfway mark.
Okay.
5, 6.
If you could improve one thing about yourself, what would it be?
My self-confidence.
So
Jesus.
we're all 10s, pretty much.
Pretty much put it that way. Okay.
Okay. If you're all 10s, does that mean like there's no room for improvement, or like you're
Of
perfect?
course, you can always go to
Yeah.
20. There's always room.
Okay. If you were gonna improve like one thing about yourself, what would it be?
My attitude.
My anger.
Your anger.
Yeah.
Being punctual, always late.
Functional. Okay. All right. Can you think of any time in recorded human history where women have had more power than they do right now?
Not at all.
No.
No.
Okay. Can you think of any countries other than Western countries like America, Australia, Canada, where women have more power than they do in those countries?
Maybe the Queen of Elizabeth, over there.
Okay. But I mean, probably not Asia. Probably not Asia or the Middle East or anything like that, right?
No.
Women are pretty okay.
Yeah.
Why do you think so many women feel so oppressed in both the time and place where they have the most power?
That's touchy. That's gonna
Right?
go, that's gonna go political. Because there's still like a lot of men who don't see the value of women.
Okay.
So it feels like we're always constantly having to prove ourselves.
Yeah.
What do you think is the difference between confidence and arrogance?
Ooh, your attitude.
Your attitude.
How you
Okay.
carry yourself. I was just having a conversation with my girls tonight about like wearing something like this. It brings a lot to light because I still want to be viewed a certain way and not be viewed a certain way, if that makes any sense.
It makes no sense.
Right?
No, I don't know what it means. Okay. Do you think that your partner's past body count matters in dating?
It shouldn't.
No.
It shouldn't, but does it?
Not all the time.
Personally, it has affected me because an ex got a little crazy when I told him mine. But other than I think.
Okay. Leading to the next question. That was a perfect video to lead right into the next question. Should body count matter when looking for a partner or looking for a life partner? Oh, Katie left.
No, I'm here. I just
Okay.
for a second.
Okay. So we'll start with Denisha and Tavares. Should body count matter when looking for a life partner?
Okay.
Let's hear it.
I feel like it shouldn't matter, but I know it depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to a man, oh, you had sex with how many people? Because your confidence is also shot. I feel like from me looking and seeing people's men's reactions to if a woman says I slept with 20 people, they're like, wow. But if it's the other way around, a woman like, okay, that makes sense because men are known to have multiple partners. I don't think it should matter because I'm not gonna say that, but I don't think it should matter because there's benefits to either or, to be honest. Because if you have more partners, maybe you should know what you're doing. I feel like as well. And if you don't, okay, now you can mold that person to the ways that you would like. So I don't know. That's how I feel about it. You go ahead and answer that question.
All right. For me, it does matter. I'm not gonna lie. It does. It plays a part. It definitely do because I feel like you're like that's the biggest thing you can give to somebody is that to me. So depending on it's like if you're giving it, it's like if you just I'm be honest, like you just giving it to people like it's just nothing.
But
I can't just
it's not that see, I'm about to see.
This is what I want. This is what I want. I want the real conversation.
This is the issue right here. This is the issue because why do you automatically think you're giving your body to just anybody. Like, why is it that? Why isn't it just like maybe they just chose multiple people, but it's not like anybody? Because men do it that way. Is that why? Is that the perspective you look at?
I'm looking at it from my perspective.
Yeah, okay.
Because my perspective, I did it.
No, but from your perspective, what I'm asking is, why do you look at it as you're just giving it away? Like,
because I can't help but look at it from my perspective. I'm not looking at it as a collective. I'm looking at it from my perspective, for me. And for me, I don't do that. So
you don't want your partner to do that.
Exactly.
That's fair. I think there's a whole complex behind that though. That's a whole nother conversation, because I don't know how long we got, so I don't know how long I should speak on this. But this last part I'm gonna just say before you continue is there's this virgin complex that goes along with women. Like, how you expect every woman to be a virgin, but you go out here sleeping with women?
I don't expect
it doesn't make sense. Not you. I'm not saying you. Yeah. I'm just saying that mindset doesn't make sense.
Guys, we don't want anyone sleeping on the couch tonight, all right? Let's take it easy.
Oh, no.
No. We have conversations like this all the time. You've been on our live. It's not.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Okay, finish what you were saying. Sorry.
No, I was just saying basically, like, I feel like even for me as a man, I feel like that's the last thing. Like, I mean, that's the biggest thing I can give to you. Mm-hmm. And once I give you that comes to me with vulnerability with a lot of things.
That's true.
So I feel like if you're doing that, then it's like, and from my perspective, you're giving away the biggest thing you have. One of the biggest things you have.
Your body.
Yes.
Fair.
And then I'm just doing like this. I'm just, something I can say it for right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it play a part with me. It do.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna be quiet too. I'm gonna let
Katie, you want to answer?
Keep going.
Yeah, so this is why, so when Clement asked me to be a part of this, I was like, I don't know if I'm the best person to be on this panel, because again, I've never dated as an adult. So I've been with Chad since I was 15. We started dating when I was 16. So I can't really speak to this from an adult perspective. The only thing that I can say is God forbid something happened between Chaz and I. The only thing I can think of is if I murdered him. I think that's the only way that he's getting out of this. I murder him and then I had to move on. I think as adults, like, I have plenty of friends that, as long as you're committed in your relationship, and especially now that we're all older. I mean, my friends went to college and they went nuts, and now who they are now as, grown people is very different than who they were when they were younger. Or even, I personally, I don't see anything wrong with it. Again, I can't truly speak to this because I've been with the same partner for so many years. But I think as long as you're faithful in your relationship and you come in being open and honest and saying, these are the partners I've been with, I'm safe, X, Y, and Z, and you're committed, I personally don't see a problem with it.
LJ?
So this is actually a pretty interesting question, because I could see it from, I'm sorry, I forgot the guy's name in the duo group down below, Salty. But I can see it from your point of view of, like, you don't really shop around, so you kind of expect them not to shop around, because it's kind of like an ideology thing. It's like, I want to date like maybe 3 people max in my lifetime. Hopefully I find my person in that span of time, and hopefully they kind of looked the same way. But it wouldn't really matter to me, because, like, if you're dating someone, hopefully you're trusting them with, you're trusting them to have good judgment. You're trusting them to be a smart person who thinks about their future and, like, their health and, like, and just their ideas. And with that, if I think the person's smart and they were safe about it, and then they came out, like, because honestly, I have to say, I don't think I've ever brought up a how many have you slept with conversation with any of my partners, because I don't really care. Like, that's information you keep to yourself. As long as you're smart about it, you keep yourself tested, I don't give a shit. So I don't think it necessarily should matter. I think that people should kind of just get over it. And, like, if you trust the person to have not done dumb shit, then, that just falls under that same umbrella. I expected them to, be safe and smart and, have their reasonings for what they're doing and, if it doesn't actually affect their personality, or like they're not sitting there like a year and being like, hey, you know what, I'm kind of getting the urge to sleep around, then I don't really give a shit, you know?
Okay.
That's all I got.
Stan? Maya, did I come to you? We'll go to Maya. We'll go to Maya.
Okay. Yeah, I see like the same thing. Like I see both ends. I could feel like some people will think like it doesn't matter. I think for me, everyone has a past, right? Like everyone has a past, and you know, I mean, it matters to me that it's nothing crazy. Like, don't be telling me you slept with like 50 girls. You know what I mean? I just feel like, oh gosh. But I also agree with LJ. Like, the main thing is that you're clean. You know what I mean? That you're getting tested, that you're healthy. That's the main thing for me. So, because, you know, God forbid, you know, you could have a low number and you don't know who you're sleeping with. So whether it's 1 or 100, you just have to make sure you just have to make sure you're healthy. But yeah, I mean, I guess the number does matter where it's nothing like super duper crazy, like, you know, like 30, 40, 50 girls or whatever. If a guy slept with like 10, 15 girls, you know, it is what it is. But also, as long as it also wasn't just like, oh, within the past month, I slept with 15 girls. That's different. Me sleeping with, oh, you know, 15 girls throughout my lifetime versus like, oh, in the past month, I slept with 15 girls. So for me, I think it does matter where it's not super crazy. But like LJ said, the most important thing is that, you know, you're healthy.
Bring it home, Stan.
Let's bring it on home. All right. First of all, if you, I don't really ask anybody how many people they've been with or anything, but if I were to, and if that woman is interested in me and she's been with a lot of people, you have better believe she's going to lie her ass off. She's not going to tell me the truth. I know this. I very much respect it. And the thing is, we don't have these conversations, but like back when I was in college, why like just like, you know, pre-gaming, talking and stuff, everybody has had sex with the same amount of people. It's always 3. Why is it always 3? I don't know. It's always 3. But I digress. It shouldn't matter, but it does. And let me tell you why. And also, this might rustle some feathers. It's different for men and women, but I'll explain to you why. It matters for women, right? Because a lot of times it's not even just because of the amount of people that you've been with. It's a lot of things that comes along with it. It's the trauma that comes along with it. It's the attention seeking that comes along with it. Let's talk about the trauma. Before I met my girlfriend, my girlfriend that I have now, I've been with her 5 years, and she's my first girlfriend. And before that, when I would mess around with people, I would tell them before we mess around the first time, I would tell them, look, I'm not looking for a relationship. And so a lot of them would be like, oh, well, I want a relationship. Fuck you. Some of them would be like, okay, cool, that's fine. Every single one, maybe a couple, but most of them ended up catching feelings. And so they catch feelings from the sex itself. And so when you have a lot of partners before you, there's a lot of traumas that come with it. A lot of people that did you wrong, a lot of people that weren't good to you, and there's a lot of stuff that comes along with it. But the thing is with us men, we don't really internalize the sex as much as women do. I mean, if you guys disagree with anything I'm saying, like I'm not beyond a true approach, so just let me know.
I want to say something.
Yeah, please. Let me just bring it on home, and you can definitely go ahead.
Okay.
We don't really internalize it. We don't really get feelings from the sex in itself, so that's why it doesn't really matter as much for us. You can go ahead. I'm sorry, Delia, I believe the name was. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it.
It's okay. Next time I put my name in his name, so y'all know. But I understand exactly what you're saying. I feel like everybody's point definitely makes every perspective makes sense. It just whatever aligns with your ideologies and stuff, like you were all saying. And as far as there is a difference between men and when women have sex, and I feel like that's based on a lot of factors, and one of them being is the perspective of how women are raised to view sex and how men are raised to view sex. So I feel like that's why women catch feelings, because it's like, well, I was raised that if I have sex with you, then, oh, you must love me or you chose me, like, or versus a man, when it's like you have sex, it's like, Yeah, we had sex.
Sex.
It's just sex. So
Do you think most men have any kind of talks about sex?
I
Like
think
what kind of talks about sex do you think men have?
I think there's various conversations that happen around sex with men. I feel like, but I don't know if most of those are about an actual connection besides just the sex. And I don't. And it's and the reason I say that is because, from my perspective, and I can only speak from my perspective. With I hang out with a lot of boys. Of course, they're probably not going to say certain things around me, but from conversations I've heard, a lot of if you've been around a group of men and they are having a conversation about sex, most of the time it's like prizes, like, oh yeah, I had sex with her and look at her, she's da 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 da, or I had this many partners. Oh, good job. It's so that's why I feel like there's a difference between connection as far as when women have sex and why men have sex. But there might be a biological reason too. But I know that is the way you grow up, that a woman is taught and a man is taught to view or feel about sex.
Yeah.
And I feel like that has to do with that's never mind. But yeah.
Stan, you want to say something?
Yeah, there actually was. You said that there might be a biological reason. It actually is. I believe the hormone is called oxytocin. So it's like biologically, like when men and women have sex, both of them excrete like oxytocin, which is like the hormone that brings emotion and kind of gets you attached to the other person. They both release it, but women release a lot more of it than men do. That's why women get a lot more emotional when it comes to sex than men do. I believe the word is oxytocin. I may have butchered it completely, but there is a hormone that is like the emotional hormone, the one that makes you attached to whoever's giving you this feeling. So there is a biological reason for it.
Anyone else want to add on?
How about you, Clement?
What do I think? Should body count matter? That's tough. That's tough because I think men in general are typically territorial. I think most guys. Well, I mean, when it comes to sex, realistically, women have it far easier getting sex than men do. So, because a woman could literally just show up and have like a string of guys around the block that are ready to have sex. A guy actually has to work to get any kind of sex from a woman. So when she shows up and let's just say her body count and it's higher, much higher than yours, then you feel like, wow, like she just kind of threw herself out there. Realistically, that is, as a guy, that's the first thought that comes to mind. Like, oh, like she is good for one night, but that's about it. Like she's not good beyond that. I don't see her as anything else beyond one night.
What do you think of guys with high body counts?
Champs, bro. Well, and that's why I say it's different because guys typically have to work towards sex. Women choose who they want to have sex with. So if every single woman keeps choosing that same guy, he's just getting chosen. That's just how I see it. I don't see it as.
I don't know. Because like, think about the guy that's going to have these high body counts. They're going to be like good looking dudes, who aren't necessarily working for it. Like,
yeah.
So
or guys that really worked at game.
Yeah, something, like I can imagine other cases. Like, I don't know. I think that your opinion on like girls who just throw it out there should be the same for like these guys who like clearly should be thinking about like one person, but they're like just throwing it out there because it's easy for them, right?
Yeah.
You want to say something?
I'll say something after you go ahead because you got it. You don't forget it.
Yeah, I forget everything. Yeah. Now, I just wanted to say, you did ask me what conversations do I think men are having around sex, Clement. So if you don't mind, what conversations are men having around sex? And that could be anybody can answer that. I'm curious.
I want to say conversations around sex kind of end during high school, really. Like there's not really much talk about sex after that. Cause like once after high school, there's not that, oh, how many girls have you slept with? Oh, are you still a virgin? Like all those talks kind of end after like middle school, high school. And then during college, it's just everyone is just kind of sleeping around as much as they can. After that, you should be in the adult world. You're not really sleeping around and telling people about it. Does that make sense? So even if you're in a group of guys, I mean, realistically, it's any guy that is in a group of men and is just kind of bragging about how much women they slept with. He kind of looks kind of dickish, honestly. I mean, like, what do you other guys think? That's my personal thought on it. What do you guys think?
No, I agree. I probably wouldn't be hanging out with many people just bragging about their fucking body count all the time. You know, like it would probably have to be a reason that they're bringing it up for me to not look at them like, "Are you okay?" Like, so makes sense.
Stan?
Yeah, I agree.
No, contrary to a lot of people, I actually think men should probably keep their body counts low too. And it's not really just because it's not for the same reason. It's just because why is it? Well, the thing is, especially in a time when you're building yourself up, you should just be building yourself. A lot of men, we like just go out, especially the good-looking ones and stuff like that, who have all these options. They go out, they do dumb stuff. Like look at these NBA players. They're getting like these random women pregnant at like 23 years old. Now you got 5. Doesn't NBA YoungBoy have like 19 baby mothers? Like what is that? I actually think
that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
I actually think men should be working on themselves aside from just chasing around women. I think chasing around women is a problem because they spend so much time doing it that they're not working on themselves, not building up the communities, and now you're getting random people that you don't even know are pregnant, and now you have like these families with like, these broken families. So I actually, me personally, like having my girlfriend and meeting her like right after college and being with her this whole time, it's helped me out a lot because I can focus on building myself up, building everything, and I don't have to worry about, oh, I have to call X back, I have to call this girl back, I haven't talked to this girl in a minute, and I don't have to worry about like where I'm getting my intimacy from. So it really, for me personally, it helped me a lot having that one person. I mean, other people can be different, but for me personally, I think it helped a lot.
I think it like it depends on how they are moving around. Even if like for both men and women, honestly, when they are moving around, even if they're getting different partners, it depends on how they're doing it. If there is actually thought behind it on who they're actually picking, then yes, I don't think it should matter that much, realistically. But pairing pretty much what Stan and LG were saying, a guy realistically, if he's moving towards a lot more of where he needs to be in life, he's not really going to have time to be trying to sleep around with many women. Chasing women is a chore. Like it's a full-time job. Essentially, you lose a lot of money chasing women as a guy. Like you got to constantly go out, meet someone, get drinks. You got to take them out. You lose a lot more money, and vice versa. Like if women are constantly just throwing their box around to whoever is there, whoever is around, they kind of gain a lot of mental trauma from that. As opposed to if they decide to pick, like, okay, this person has specific traits, he's kind of moving this way in life. I choose this person to actually be with to sleep with because if worst case scenario, if I get pregnant, there's still a future behind that. Versus some baby mamas that like really just kind of slept around with like Pookie and Ray Ray and just really, or Chad, and like that's it. Katie, please tell us the story. Tell us what women say behind closed doors.
Oh, I just thought like you were like, people don't talk. All my girlfriends talk about sex all the time. That's like our lunchtime conversation. I know. Yeah, I don't know. I know everything about all my girlfriends' sex lives. Like, I don't think it's necessarily body count. I just think it's like more of a common conversation. I know I've asked Chaz about this before because I've said, like, what are you? I was like, I'm not going to obviously talk about something that makes him uncomfortable. So, we've had the conversation about like what is okay for me to share. And he's kind of like, whatever, like, I don't, but he personally won't talk about anything with his guy friends. And you guys have been friends with Chaz for how many years? I don't think he really.
That's why it's hard.
Yeah, so like he doesn't talk about it, but no, I know. I don't know. That's our lunchtime conversation. I know what everybody's doing.
So I know it all. So and it's mostly positive, but it's like so that's why I was like, when you guys were talking, I was like, wow, do men really not talk about this?
I'm sure there are packets of guys that do talk about it still, though. Like, I'm sure there is, but I don't know. I personally don't really hang out with people like that, so I wouldn't know. But
I also think it's a difference in the way women and men communicate, though. I feel like I know a lot more just in general, and I joke around too, like, like emotionally, obviously my husband's my best friend and we've been together so long, but like when I'm having a really hard day, I'll talk to him, but I'll also talk to my girlfriends. So it's like my girlfriends, there's certain conversations that I have with them. We have a different type of relationship. So I feel like the way girls communicate and what we speak about, I definitely feel like I probably know more about certain things than maybe men talk about.
Like me, like my guy friends, the conversations usually be like short. Like they'll show me like the female they're talking to or whatever, and then they'll be like, what you think of her or stuff like that, and then it's like that. Yeah, but
I already know that. Yeah.
Go for it, Stan.
But I think the difference between, well, please tell me if I'm wrong. The difference between the men and the women, though, is that like LJ, that's the name of LJ, right? Like LJ was saying, oh, not LJ, I'm sorry.
Tavares?
Official sport guy.
Tavares.
I'm sorry.
Tavares.
I wish your names were there. I like calling you guys by name.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, like he was saying, yeah, for men, we're more like we'll talk about like the random person that we messed with or this person, that person. But in terms of like girlfriend, like I'll never say anything sex related to my friends about a girlfriend. Now the women, I know my girlfriend's friends know everything about everything about everything.
About the mole in your butt cheek, everything.
That's funny.
And I'm like, okay, cool. But my friends, they don't know nothing about her. They're just like, oh yeah. As far as they're concerned, we don't even have sex. So
yeah, same.
You gonna say something else?
No, I say same like Stan said. Like same like with my guy friends, they don't know nothing about our. They know some things about our relationship, but sex life, no, nothing.
Do you think that's why? Is that a respect thing? Is that why?
Fact. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. When men date women that they're truly seeing a future with, there's no way in hell I'm going to talk to anyone about our sex life. Like, no, that's none of their business.
Yeah, they're not gonna have ahead of what we be doing.
Yeah, like if it's just a random hookup, yeah, of course. Like we're gonna share every detail we can. Why not? Screw it. But
that's
like if we really actually love this person and it's like, okay, I want a family, I want a future with this person. It's pretty disrespectful for men to share your intimate details about that person that you truly love. I see it as most men see it as disrespectful.
Yeah.
Can I kind of dive into why that might be?
Go for it.
So, like you said earlier, men are we're territorial by nature, right? So if we were to eloquate the sex thing to our friends, it basically gives them the okay for you to give your friend. You're basically giving your friend the okay to look at your girlfriend, wife sexually. So I guess that from like a protection standpoint and a territorial standpoint, we don't want anybody looking at our girlfriends and wives sexually. We just want them to have like the utmost respect, because I respect the fuck out of my girlfriend, and I'll be damned if anybody else disrespects her. So maybe that's the point.
Anyone else?
Yeah, and I want to say one more thing. And yeah, like the same thing. Like even with my homeboys, like when they try to talk like show like intimate stuff with the girlfriend, I'm like, nah, bro, I'm good. Cause I'm like, I don't need to see. That's y'all. That's different. Like that's your significant other. I can't. I feel like even if he showed me, and I'd be like, yeah, show me. I feel like on my part that's disrespectful.
Why
even
is
if
it?
You said why?
No,
go
like, ahead. Finish what you're saying.
No, what you were saying?
I was gonna say, why is it that you think they want to show you those things?
It's just a show.
But some people like to brag about it. Like there are some guys who like are legit. Like I've had people be like, "Hey, this is the person I've slept with." I was like, "Don't fucking even show me." Anyway.
The videos, like some guys will come up with videos. It's like, bro, we barely know each other.
Yeah. But I mean, like the person they're in a relationship with, because you're talking about somebody in a relationship.
They probably don't respect them as much.
No, I understand why you're saying you don't want to. But I'm saying, why do you think the person that's in that relationship, the man, is trying to show you that with his girlfriend?
Because some guys feel like we're so close that I can show you this, but I still would turn it down. Like, nah, bro, that's y'all. I don't want to know what's going on between y'all like that.
Do y'all think that's disrespectful if you had a friend that would try to show you videos of their long-term relationship with a girlfriend? And the women can answer too, because how would you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want. I would. I probably wouldn't be with that guy no more if I found he was showing his friends stuff or whatever. Because I agree with all the guys. I feel like men are very territorial, which I like. You know, I don't want my man showing everybody, because now you're giving these guys leeway to look at your girl that way. They shouldn't know what you're doing in the bedroom or what you guys are doing, because then now when they look at you, they're not going to look at you as like, oh, that's his girl, I respect his girl. It's like, oh, I don't know everything you guys do. And it's just so, I think that's horrible. And I actually respect all you guys for letting us know that you guys aren't those type of guys, because I definitely wouldn't date a guy like that. You could be.
That's what we get. We get applause for that, okay? Bravo to us men.
I would drop him like that if I found out my boyfriend was saying or showing any details about anything in our relationship, because I think your relationship is your own relationship. And there are definitely like people you're comfortable with talking to if there's like an issue, but that stuff is just no. So I definitely agree with the guys who are saying like, you don't do that. And I respect you guys for saying like, if my boy tries to show me something, like, nah, I'm good. Because you shouldn't also look, because you, especially if you yourself are in a relationship, you shouldn't look at another girl or know that other girls.
You shouldn't be looking at other guys' girlfriends. You know,
other guys' girlfriends.
You
yes.
certainly shouldn't be fucking doing
That's
that.
just weird. I would be like, ew.
I want to say that also the people who would disagree with this, who like are those people who would share those pictures, guaranteed they'd be watching this and sitting there like, these guys are just lying. They're absolutely just lying for the camera. And I assure you, no. Like, I know Clement for a long time. I know like my friends for a good chunk of time. Like, there's just no one in my friend group would be sharing photos of like intimate.
No,
like it's just it's weird. We would definitely question like how smart that person was, because like it just leads to so many problems where you're like, why are you doing this? So,
but it's about the lack of consent as well. I definitely think we kind of veered a certain way. Like there's definitely a difference, and I wrote this in the chat, between talking and confiding about certain things as opposed to showing pictures and videos without consent.
Yeah,
that is a completely, that's a violation that goes beyond, like pictures that I share with my husband, or, if I had another partner, those are private. And they're expected to stay private. And unless like someone gives specific consent, and I really respect you guys for saying like, no, I'm not going to violate someone else's, because it's a violation. And, it truly speaks to your guys' character about saying no. But at the same time, I also wouldn't be in a conversation with all of you if I didn't expect you to have this certain time.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't be friends with, and it's lovely to meet you guys as well. But Clement and LJ, I wouldn't be friends with you guys if you didn't have that type of character. We wouldn't be in the same friend group. So
you was gonna say something? You have it on mute.
Ma, you look like you're in deep thought over there. What's going on?
Oh, I was just curious. I forgot what like the questions were, so I was like thinking like, what's the next one? That's all.
Okay, you trying to get ahead of the questions? Come on, what are you doing?
I need to speed it up. That's what she's saying.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. All right, so I think this is the last one, right? I think it might be. Do celebrities like Cardi B, Meg the Stallion, the horse, shape the minds of a younger generation?
It's not the horse, it's the stallion.
The horse.
The horse. Okay.
Megan the horse.
Yes, not the horse.
You know what? You guys started off.
Do celebrities
Let's see.
And Meg the Stallion shape them? I mean, yes, because they have influence, but in every generation, there's some type of influence from somewhere. You can't just say that Meg the Stallion and Cardi B have destroyed my children. Look at them. They're acting crazy. That's not the only influence that they have. But they do have a certain amount of influence, but they're not raising your kids and giving them their mindset. That's how I feel about it. I don't have kids, so.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you. I was thinking, I saw that, and I agree with everything you said. Is that every generation is going to have someone, right? Like, because there's celebrity, there's fame, there's all this stuff, and it doesn't matter whether it's them or in the '90s and the '80s, we've all had it. I think in reality, what it comes down to is you as parents, like you should be the one really raising your kids, and even if they're listening to that music or watching that stuff, it really comes down to like parents and their time with their children, because you can't help that stuff. Like that stuff is going to show up on TV and on the radio, and they're going to talk about things like that, unless you're going to live in a bubble. But even if, like, you know, you're listening to something specific, let's say you're raising your kids, we don't listen to that in the house. Okay, but what happens when they go to a friend's house? What happens when they go to a dance, or they get older and they go to a club, a lounge or something like that? They're going to hear this stuff. So in reality, no one should really like really shape the minds of your kids, or really, at the end of the day, like a parent should raise their children. So even if they see these things, that's something that should be talked about then at home, if that's what they're watching or that's what they're seeing. And that's my take on it. But there's always going to be something. Like if it's not Cardi B, you know, next year and 10 years from now, it's going to be somebody else. So, and that's just what they do, you know. That's
So what about the kids that don't really have like influential parents in their life? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's really tough, and I think that it's hard, because especially now more than ever with social media, I think that's where it gets even harder now, because back then we didn't have social media. I mean, we had MTV and stuff like that, but social media, I think even for adults, it's
even
hard.
Social media, it's right there in front of your face every single day.
Even for adults, it kind of shapes even adults' minds of like, oh, I have to look like that, I have to act this way, I should dress like that, or whatever. And for kids who don't have like parents or anything like that, I would hope that they have, you know, whether it be their teachers or family members, that can help them with that. But it does help. It does shape some type of a mindset, because like I said, even for adults, I'll even see something and be like, you know, it kind of like influences you a little bit of like how you should look, especially for women. I think it's so much harder for women nowadays, especially Instagram and things like that, and just feeling like you should look like that. And if you don't, then you're not enough or something like that. But it does, and I think it forever will, no matter what.
Katie, you're going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, so I teach 7th grade. So this is my 6th year teaching 7th grade. And it's crazy to see the difference between my first group of students are graduating high school now, which has me aging rapidly. But the biggest thing that I've noticed, okay, so like, you know, I assume we're all kind of around the same age. Like I remember like Christina Aguilera when she was like Xtina, wearing like nothing when the thongs were out. Like, you know, I think the clothes trends have changed, but it's all kind of the same vibe. The biggest thing that I'm currently seeing now is that kids have unfiltered access to the internet. They are constantly on their phones, and especially within the past pandemic, they need phones. So my kids are on the internet 24/7. And especially too with the blow up of TikTok, they're watching celebrities and these, you know, influencers in real time constantly. There's this idea of you have to be on 24/7. And so, you know, like I have my kids that are constantly documenting themselves. So they'll be in the hallway and they pull out their phone and they're like literally narrating themselves walking down the hallway. And I'm like, that phone's mine. Thank you. But that's what they think. They're like, we have to do this, which also leads to, I have girls doing full faces of makeup. They're 12 and 13. And they're like baking their faces, contouring, coming in and like, you know, like they're getting dress coded. But it's this idea. I don't necessarily think it's the trends that are going on. I think it's the social media and the always having to be on. You always have to be ready for a picture. You always have to be ready to, you know, be live. And that's the biggest change that I've seen, because, you know, the music stayed the same, the outfits, the trends have changed a little bit, but, you know, the revealing nature of outfit, that's all stayed the same. I think it might have, you know, the trends might have changed a little bit, but the biggest thing I've seen with my kids over the past 6 years is the constant need to be online, to have an online presence, to constantly document yourself. And so these celebrities might have more influence now, but it's because of their online presence. I don't think anything else besides that, at least in my experience as a teacher.
It's pretty good. Stan?
So Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, I'm gonna show her some respect. They'll go and say that their content is for adults and not for children, right? And they're right. But the thing is that their content is for adults, but it's very, very accessible to children. Like it's on like wasn't it on like what was that? What was that award show? That's on like ABC or something. I don't know. When they were rubbing the things against each other. I didn't see a video or anything about that, but I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but they're always doing some kind of sexual stuff, right? So because it's for adults and it's so visible to children, it's up to the parents to filter that, right? I think we can all agree with that. But the problem happening these days is that the parents are Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion disciples. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Am I wrong? So when the kids see their parents doing that or their mom doing that, what else are they going to do? So that kind of goes back to what I was saying before, that men need to kind of stop messing around with anybody, because because men, we usually have we put women in two categories: relationship, let's just have a good night, right? So the problem happens when we go these let's just have a good night people and we mess around and get them pregnant, and now they're mothers. And the let's just have a good night people are like the Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion disciples. So you have a baby by them, and now the kids are being raised by that particular person. As a man, you should never have a child with somebody that you don't want your children to grow up to be. Like my girlfriend, man, I love the shit out of my girlfriend, and I want my daughters to be just like her. So that's all. For me, having like my girlfriend be the mother of my children, I love that. Like I'm working my ass off so that her first maybe 2 or 3 years when the kids are born, she could stay home and have like a great influence on her. So that's how much I respect the shit out of my girlfriend, and that's why I want her to be in my life. Now, if I had just had a child with some random person that I messed with before, now I have to parent the girlfriend too, right? So that's where the problem is happening. If we have responsible parents, I'm with you guys. Responsible parents, go ahead, try to filter as much as you can. You're never gonna filter never gonna 100% filter it out, but you have to get ahead of it. If you get ahead of it, talk to them about it before they see it, so that they can be like, look, this is what you're gonna see. This probably isn't what you want to do. These are the drawbacks, right? But when you have the parents that are Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion disciples, you're all wrong from the beginning.
And I do want to say something right quick too. And as parent, like, and what you see on a lot of parents be like rooting their kids on when they're doing the Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B. Like when they dancing, they be like, yeah, go ahead. They record them, put them on TikTok. And then the kids see the kids doing it, and the kids like, okay, that's my age group. I'm gonna do it too. And it starts with the parents, it ends with the parents. Because even when you go to school, even when you go to daycare, you're home the most. And the parents is the parents is basically the main people to really mold their kids. Anything outside of that, a teacher can only do but so much, because the kid still got to go home. If the teacher get discipline the child gonna be like, my parents don't discipline me, so they're not gonna listen to the teacher either. But if the parent puts it in their kids like, no, this is not okay, but they show them, like, I wouldn't keep things away from my kids. I want them to know what it is so they know what not to do. Instead of keeping it away from them and hiding it, that's going to make them want to do it. They're going to find ways to watch those type videos and stuff like that. So I'm going to let them see it, and I'm going to talk to them about it to be like, this is not okay. This is not how, I'm saying, like, this is not how a woman should be. This is not how you should be. Raise them that way, not, yeah. Like if you just be too strict, that's what's going to make them go that route.
I just think that we all have to understand that influence is exactly what it's influence, and everybody, kid or not kid, is going to have some type of influence. I do agree with you that things do have to do with the parent, because most of the time parents raise you a certain way. Yeah. But also understand that besides you, they are going to be influenced outside of you. But
I mean, they're going to try it.
Yeah,
a kid soaks everything in.
Like exactly.
They're going to want to try certain things, but as a parent, that's when
you have to come in with the structure.
Exactly, because if you don't, they're gonna just say, "Oh, mom and dad laughing at it, so that means it's okay."
Yeah.
They don't go to school doing it. Teachers like, "No, don't do that. That's not okay." Well, my mom don't say anything.
I get it.
So
I get it.
Yeah.
Who was up next? Mike?
No, I said my thing.
Okay, LJ. I saw you nodding over there.
I mean, because it's kind of like all been said, all right? Being called last kind of sucks, because what am I going to do? Regurgitate like what the fuck everyone else just said?
Yes.
Like, the main thing I have to say is maybe the question should have been something more like, because a bunch of kids are being raised by just being stuck in front of a screen. Like, I've seen that. I know that it's a thing. I know that it does work because it pacifies them and shuts them up, which is very pleasant. But, then you end up with kids who are, obsessed with online and becoming the next YouTuber and doing this and that. So like maybe reshape the question to be more like, how do you think modern parenting since the internet came, has affected our children, which is a fair question that I think everyone would probably have an interesting thought on. But it is kind of obvious, like, regardless of the generation, there's bad people who are going to, not bad, I don't want to say bad, but like people who will influence your kids in ways that you'd prefer that they just didn't fucking know. And, that's the cold truth of life is sucks. You can't really control that. You have to deal with it and you have to find a way. And like everyone said, addressing it, don't just hide it. Don't pretend it's just bad, because trust me, they're going to get the answer. And sometimes that person they get the answer from is going to be worse than you. I would hope far
worse. Yeah.
Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you have to go outside of your family to find the right opinion somewhere else. Like people were saying with their parents, where they're like, Cardi B and, crazy people. Psychopath. Like as a kid, sometimes you have to realize like, hey, my family is a little shaky, and this teacher or this, whatever therapist or whatever, is more on the same wavelength of me of like, this seems weird. And
so if a child is coming out of a situation like that, how do you think, like, how can they actually navigate the world to find a good enough mentor or guide in their life if they're coming out of a situation where their parents haven't really shown them anything moldable or good for their future?
It depends on the person, but my go-to, and I don't know how popular this is going to be in this day and age because you get 50-50, but it's therapy, 100% therapy. I've had my problems and I've had a therapist when I was in teen years, and it helped me a lot to realize what the fucking normal family looks like, because sometimes you just don't know what that looks like at all. So I would say therapy with a good therapist, because there are some therapists who like literally get bored from listening to their clients because they're just there for the paycheck. So be smart, be vigilant, find a good therapist. If you think that you're a parent that hasn't necessarily hit the keys and your kid's a little shaky, put them in therapy, find a good one for them, do your job, and maybe spend a little more time with them. Like it's not hard. It's not like hard to figure out a solution as a parent. It's hard for the kid because the kid knows nothing. So, for a kid, it could be anything from, if you're smart enough, get therapy. If you're not, hopefully you find someone who can help you out. The world's rough.
Go for it, Sam.
Oh yeah, definitely, LJ. I'm definitely a huge advocate for therapy, man. I've been doing therapy for like a year now, so that's dope. One thing that you touched on before, you talked about how in the internet age, it's hard to have parenting. One thing that I've noticed that a reason why all this is going on is because we live in the internet age, right? So we need more parenting. But the fact that the cost of living is going up, just the cost to survive is going up. Now almost every family needs 2 working parents, right? So now we're getting less parenting because once you have the kids, you're tired from work. You can't pour into them as much as you need to, as much as you want to. Like back in the day, you had households that had the man working, right? And the mother staying home and taking care of the children. She had the energy to stay home and take care of the children and pour into them completely because she wasn't working. These days, most of the time, more often than not, you can't have that. You need 2 working parents to survive. Not even just to survive, just to get by. And now you have 2 working parents. When they both get home, they're both tired. So what do? They put the kid from the iPad. They put the kid in front of the TV. And that's when they're seeing all this Cardi B stuff. That's when they're seeing gun violence. Let's not just say it's Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. Let's talk about it. The gun violence, drugs, all this stuff. They're seeing all these things because the world we live in, it's really tough for two parents to go work and then come back home tired as hell after working maybe 8-10 hours, and now you want to pour 100% into those children. That's just hard.
I was actually going to say that. I was kind of like something that might be interesting for these chats is having people from outside the country, because like it's a lot different here because we have 5-day work weeks. Like there are plenty of other countries that understand like a work life, like a work life, family life balance is not a 5-day work week, which I completely agree with. I think it's ridiculous to think, because you're right. It does sometimes take, especially in New Jersey. Let's be honest. It takes 2 fucking people or 1 good ass job. Like that's it. That's there. You can't raise a kid otherwise.
Profanity.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to get you demonetized. Yeah. The big advertisers aren't going to work with you anymore. But it's rough. So, having someone from a different country that has different, like completely different upbringing, completely different culture would be interesting, especially for this conversation. Because like maybe it's not as much of an issue. Maybe, maybe they got different ways of looking at it. It would have been, because it's rough here. It's definitely rough. Like America has its own like structural problems, as everyone's known over the past like couple years, and it is what it is,
Katie, did you speak yet?
No, I did before, but
I
was just nodding along. I mean, I don't know. Does anyone here have children?
Nope.
No. I think one of the most interesting things. So, Chaz and I financially are in a pretty good spot right now. I don't know how we're gonna have kids. We're financially good for 2 people, and it's so crazy because I currently am like Chaz and I are making more money than I thought we would be. In the state of New Jersey, it's nothing. Making over 100,000 in New Jersey, like what does that even mean anymore? And then you want to bring kids into that? We have our mortgage, we have this, like, we want to replace our fence outside, 10 grand for a fence. Why? I know, exactly. That was my face too. Everyone's like, what? Yeah, replace a vinyl fence for a property. It's going to be like 10 grand. How am I supposed to do that? Oh, okay. I need to childcare in this area. And I think you guys are all up north, so it's probably more expensive. Childcare around here is like $1,500 for the newborn room a month. And then, you have more kids than that. Like, what? How? And then, like you guys were saying, like going back to the screen, and I know we're completely going off topic, but like I'm tired when I get home. I literally took a nap before. My alarm went off and I answered it. I thought it was the phone. Like that's how tired I was. I was like, hello? I'm exhausted right now. So like I'm just like and then like I'm gonna have kids and like it's a lot. So it's like the whole screen thing, like you kinda I think we have to figure it out. And it's the easy thing, like LJ was saying, like, you just shut them up, put them in front of a screen and hope for the best. And I would love to say that I'm never going to do that, but of course I'm going to do it at some point. I just hopefully can limit it. But my kids now, currently, my middle school kids, that's all they do. And their parents don't know what to do with them, especially during quarantine, because their parents had to work from home. The kids had to learn from home. Everybody was stuck at home, and everybody's so burnt out, and the parents just couldn't deal with it. So everybody's just in front of a screen all the time. It's a lot.
LJ, you were gonna say something?
No, not really. Misclick, misclick.
Oh, okay. Mai?
This is off topic, but just piggybacking off of what Katie's saying, it is true. Like where we live, I always think about, I'm like, why am I staying in North Jersey? It is so ridiculous expensive here. And it's so crazy because both my sisters bought houses, and it's like, if you do anything to your house, and you already bought the house, but now your taxes go up because you added a bathroom with your own money and you already bought the house. But because you added something, now your taxes are going to go up. And it's just like this never ending cycle of that. And I think that like, that's why everybody out here is everyone is trying to do like a side hustle or create an own business or trying to be an entrepreneur, because usually what you make in your one job is just not enough, especially depending on what kind of lifestyle you want to live. But even living the bare minimum, it's expensive. It's so expensive. So I just wanted to let her know, like, I agree with that. I don't have kids, but I have 4 nieces and a nephew, and I pretty much help raise them. And it's no joke. It is no joke how much you have to pour into them, how much they cost and all that stuff. But I just wanted to encourage you, like, when you do have a child, you'll figure it out. you're never prepared. You're never ready. Nothing's going to prepare you. But when you have a child, you will figure everything out and it'll be awesome. Because I've seen my sisters do it. And so that's just encouragement to you. But yeah, I definitely agree with her with how expensive everything is. And, of course, I wish all of us the best in that, because I always tell myself, I'm like, why do I stay here? It's so expensive. But all my family's here. I have a huge family, I have some, friends and everything like that. We're all in the Bergen County at that is probably like one of, New Jersey is like so expensive because we have the access to New York City. But it is really expensive. And so I definitely agree with you. And with parents, it's like, especially for people who aren't parents, it's so easy. Like we talked about judging. You could always be like, I wouldn't let my child do that. And I would do this and I would do that. Until you're a parent, you really can't say anything because you don't know. You don't know. And sometimes, like what she said, she's like, I love to say, because I always say to him, like, my kids are not having an iPad. Yeah, right. That day I come home, like, I bought you an iPad. Mommy needs an app. You know what I mean? So it's just, we have to have grace with each other and all that. But yeah, I think parents are just trying to do the best they can. And let's just hope that they are trying to do the best they can with this whole, influence and things like that. But that's never, like I said, it's never going to go away. They'll never go away. And it's just more accessible now because of Instagram, and that's not the last of it. I can't imagine what, it's going to be in 5 years and 10 years from now.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that. We did kind of go off topic a little bit, tiny bit, but I think this is the last question. Then I'll let you guys go because it is still a weeknight. Should people ever rethink their standards when it comes to dating?
Let me go first because I need to go to the bathroom. I'd rather do that. All right. And
all right,
this is going to be a similar answer to my other one, which is I'm pretty sure everyone's going to have the same answer on this, which is obviously yes. Your standards update as you experience new things and as you encounter new people. And, if you never update your own standards, like of what you want and what you're looking for and stuff like that, I don't know. It seems like a pretty boring life where you're just content with everything, which is, it could be for some people where they're just like floating by and they're having fun, but you got to update your standards, at least in my opinion. And I think that should have been one of the first questions along with the other one, because those are just two obvious questions that like could have warmed people up. You know what I mean?
Update, or you still need to go to the bathroom? Because here's the thing.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Sometimes people think they're better than what they actually can get on the dating market. So would you still say that's updating?
You're saying lower standards?
Correct. That's what I mean by rethink their standards, because sometimes I think
it depends on the person, of course. Like you'd have to give like examples of like something that someone's unrealistically wanting with their dating experience, like I don't know. Like it really depends on the person, how crazy their standards are. Like if you have reasonable standards and still and you're still fully understanding that the person you're dating is going to be a human being who has their own choices and their own decisions and stuff like that, and you understand that, then, your standards can't be that high, Like once you understand that you're dating a person, your standards really can't be that high. If you're trying to control them or like do something like that, and that's part of your standards where you're like, you need to dress this way or you need to do that, then I don't consider those standards. I think those are like demands, Like,
so let's put it this way. Let's give it a small example. Yeah. I think this is a reasonable example. A woman making 6 figures, has 2 kids. She's a baby mama. Wants a man making 6 figures.
Okay. You're saying like, do you think that person should reevaluate if they can't find someone making 6 figures, or do you think, okay. I think it would depend, like what they would have to offer. Like, how are they taking care of the 2 kids already? Like, is it a daycare thing? Do they expect it to continue that way? Do they expect, are they trying to take off? Like, I don't know. It's just, it feels like a very specific question if you want to get into the nitty gritty of it. But I think that standards should always be updated. If you really can't find someone, if you've been searching for a couple years and you're really putting yourself out there and you can't find someone making over 100K that fits your standards, but maybe someone would make you extremely happy and they only make 70K, then maybe you should suck it up and decrease your standards a little bit. Like I think it depends on the situation. I think it's hard. Is that good?
You can go to the bathroom now.
Thank you.
I allow it.
That's very nice of you. I'll be right back, guys.
Clement, I think I understand what you were saying. is that just not updating your standards, but sometimes having to lower your standards.
Correct.
Yes. I think also as you grow, like my standards, what I was when, 10 years ago versus 5 years ago versus now are very different because I changed as a person too. And what I thought was important actually wasn't important because you had to be 6'2". Like, girl, that's hard to find.
Like, why do you need all that height?
But, like those certain things, and there's sometimes you have to bend, and the things that are like, I always call a non-negotiable. Like I had a non-negotiable list, and those things that are non-negotiable, yeah, like you don't bend certain things. Like, like I said earlier, I want to get married, I want to have kids. That has to stick. Those things have to stick. He has to be driven. He has to be family oriented. Those things have to stick. But he has to be 6'2", or he has to make, over six figures or more. If it's that important to you, then, to each his own. It might take a little bit longer, but if it's that important, then you gotta wait on it. But if you find an amazing man who makes 90K, I don't think that 10K is should really make you not want to be with that person when he has everything else going for him. You know what I mean? So I think that standards do definitely change whether you upgrade them or whether you bend it a little bit. But the morals, those really like concrete things, those don't change. And you have to stick with those, I think.
Stan?
Oh yeah, yeah. You definitely got. I don't even know. This is definitely a given. Should people ever rethink? They definitely should rethink their standards when they're not meeting those. Like when the suitors are not meeting their standards, you're gonna have to rethink it. You're gonna, you know what, 6'2", maybe. Let me try 6 feet now. No, let me try 5'10", and then you'll eventually find that person or whatever. So sad reality though is men, we're afforded the luxury of not having to rethink our standards a lot of times, which is kind of confusing, but let me explain. So let's say you're 20, let's say 30, and your standard, or first off, a side note, we need to a lot of people have preferences that they call standards. If it should be, if it's a preference, that's a preference. A standard is basically the non-negotiable that Maya was talking about. But let's say you're a 30-year-old man and you have like, oh, you know what, I want somebody who has this, this, and this. If you can't get it, you can kind of work on yourself and become better in yourself. And then 5 years from now, you'll probably still be able to get that this, this, and this. The sad thing for women though, it sucks because you guys, if you say I want this, this, and this at age 30, at 35, if you're not getting at age 30, you might not even, you have a less chance of getting at age 35. Let me know if you guys disagree with me. I'm not beyond reproach, but it's just it's tough. Like, we have the luxury of being like, you know what, I'm just gonna go in the cave, work on myself, become better, and then in 5 years I'll revisit. And the thing is, for you guys, it's not as easy for you guys to do that. Please let me know what you guys think.
Denisha, you were definitely questioning that over there.
You can go ahead. She was gonna say something. I can say something after.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I get where he's coming from. You're thinking like, are you thinking as far as like if a woman wants to have like kids and stuff like that? Is that what you're saying? Like biological clock? Was that what you're talking about, Stan? Because guys don't have that, women do. Exactly. That I get what you're
saying. Like high risk pregnancy starts at 35. Like for me personally, man, I'm 28 now. I personally would rather have children maybe like around 34, 35-ish, but my girlfriend's also 28. So with that in mind, we think we want like 2. So we probably have to push it up and start maybe like around 31, So ideally for me, I want like around the 34-ish age where I'm like, I'm really set up, everything's good to go, but we probably have to push it forward for 31 because I don't want to deal with high risk pregnancy, especially with my girlfriend being a Black woman. You know how like that goes with pregnancy in Black women, especially when you get to high risk pregnancy. So that's like a luxury that we have that you guys don't.
Katie?
Did you want to speak before? I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say I agree.
Okay. No, I mean, I think that in terms of just to say, Stan, I do agree in terms of like women, like things do change. But I think in your standards as you get older change and what you want changes. So when I was younger, super young, I thought I wanted someone who would be a certain way. I had like a vision in my head of like, you know, what I wanted and what I needed. And as I got older, I realized that I needed certain things in a partner instead. And it doesn't always match up with what you think. And sometimes you need things that you didn't envision. So I agree. I think LJ said it from the very beginning. Like, as you get older, as you experience new things, as you go through life, your standards are going to change. I think that's just kind of a part of your growth. And I honestly would be kind of alarmed if someone said your standards didn't update as you got older and you went through certain life experiences, because that's a whole nother beast to tackle on a different day. But I do think that your standards should change and update. And Clement, what you were saying before in terms of lowering standards, I don't necessarily think I don't think changing standards is necessarily lowering standards. I think it's just reprioritizing your life, because you might say, oh, I need someone to make X amount of money. In reality, as you grow, you might say, listen, like, money's not everything. I want someone to be honest and kind and hardworking. I don't think that's lowering standards. I think that's reprioritizing. So that's the way I personally view it.
Okay. I mean, I definitely see it a lot more in Stan's way. And I think as guys typically get older, because we gain more options, we have a lot more of a choice. And unfortunately, women are going on a biological clock. So if, let's just say, your standards in men were outrageous to start with, and then as you get older, you start lowering it, but it's still pretty outrageous. It's definitely going to be harder for you, because after you touch high risk pregnancy, after you're past that, options for men dwindle down as well. Especially if a guy wants a family, it's definitely going to dwindle that down. And if your standards are still a little too high, because I mean, realistically, your standards should be level to who you see yourself as. Realistically, you know, like if you're, I don't know, like if you as a guy, well, it's hard to say as a guy, but even let's say as a guy, if you're like a 50-year-old guy, you're like 5'6", you're like close to 300 pounds, making $40K a year, and then if you want someone that's like a supermodel, it's, bro, I don't know how else to tell you. Like, you're not. It's gonna be pretty tough for you to get what you want. But then same thing.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So same thing, but like inverse for women, it's actually like that clock drops down a lot faster than it does for guys. That's what I'm trying to say. Like for women, by like 40, you kind of women have to prioritize their life a lot faster than the guys do. And that's just a fact of it. Like, because you are running on the biological clock, whereas we are not. We get a shit end of the profanity. We get the bad end of the stick when it starts out, because we now have to build ourselves up. So in our 20s, we're not really a dateable option. When we start hitting our 30s, that's where we start hitting a little bit more of our stride. In our 40s, now it's kind of like, wow, we're really in our prime now, because we had a lot more work experience. We've built ourselves up. If you've kept up with your life, you kept yourself in shape, you were actually working towards your purpose in life, I mean, you're going to be crushing it in your 40s. Versus a woman, if she could have done all the same things, but now she has one less option, just solely due to nature. And if she wanted a husband that wanted kids, she kind of lost out on options of that as well. So I think rethinking it means, like you were saying, Katie, prioritizing what it is that you actually want. And I think prioritizing what you want, unfortunately, especially in this day and age, happens a little too late for women sometimes, because you're kind of sold the dream that you can have it all, when in reality, like you were saying with your going to college, you know, unfortunately, you have to put what you want on the back burner for a family. because you know if you go a little too high past that, you won't be able to get what you want. But you can speak now.
Oh, no, I was just going to say before, I think that we're, the question's like a little like kind of, I'm not sure if we're talking about standards or preferences, like Stan was saying before, because I think like certain preferences, like you might be right. Like, listen, if I'm, 40 and 200 pounds and like my preferences that I have now at 28 and the way I look now might be different at 40. But standards, like my standard of having a partner who's hardworking, like I that's not going to change. I will never drop that standard. I want a good, honest person who's hardworking, who's family oriented, like Maya was saying before. Like those standards aren't going to drop. Preferences might change though. But I do agree with you. I think as we get older, but I just think that's like the nature of getting older. As you get older, your preferences and your options are going to be limited.
Denisha Tavares, did I call you guys already?
Nah, we haven't spoke about this one yet. And I agree with everybody was saying about like, what was it? You should rethink your standards. Like for example, as a guy, like say if you're in your 20s and you're I say a big person, a heavy set, right? And you want the best looking female, it's gonna be hard for you to get that. So you will have to lower things that you want, like, or either build yourself up to get to that point to where now you can actually get that type of female. So I agree. Like, and as for, and like I was saying, as men, we are in our prime older, and women are in their prime younger. So us as men, we have to build our reputation, like build ourselves up to actually get what we want, like as for what we prioritize. And as a woman, they do that younger, but as their younger age, they have to be more on it. As for a man, when we build ourselves up, we have more time. So what am I trying to say? I lost myself.
I'm good. So do you agree that people need to rethink their standards sometimes?
Yeah, so the gist of that is, I do agree. My mind went blank.
It's been a long night,
Yeah, we're gonna call it pretty soon. I just got one more video after this. Denisha, you wanted to say something towards this?
Yeah, I feel like people definitely sometimes do have to rethink their standards. And I really agree with what Katie said about reprioritizing your standards. Even though sometimes you do want to keep those same standards, I agree. Like you have to be at least hardworking. You're not gonna really, I'm not gonna really go from hardworking to mild working, like in the middle. Like you have to be hardworking to some extent. Like I can't. So I do think you do have to change your standards sometimes and be realistic to who are you. Like what are you asking for? Do you even have? Like a lot of people just want, okay, I want somebody this way, but what are you doing? Do you even deserve? I don't want to say deserve because that's a difficult word, but sometimes do you even deserve what you're asking for? And I feel like we were talking about earlier, and that can even go into the therapy. That's why I'm an advocate for therapy too, because I'm in therapy right now, and therapy definitely shows you about yourself, and that's why I think it's so important. You're able to see something about yourself from a perspective that's not so like biased, basically. So I definitely think that people should rethink their standards. Sometimes some things are a priority you don't want to, so that makes sense, but be realistic. Like I know what is it, Maya or Mia? I don't want to say your name wrong.
My,
excuse me. Maya was saying about 6'2". Like, yeah, sometimes you got to just go down a little bit, And even if you don't want to, it's not really going to make
6'1.5". You're right.
Yeah, 6'1.5". So as you grow, your expectations change and your standards might change, and they might be lowered, they might go higher, but And another thing, it's okay if you cuss with YouTube. The only thing about it is that you have to as long as the video doesn't start off that way and it doesn't set the tone. So that's how it is for
okay.
you. So you don't want to be cussing every 5 seconds, but if you throw like a shit in there, it's fine.
You just gotta sprinkle some in there a little bit.
Yeah, you can sprinkle.
All right, guys. Does anyone else have anything else to say? Any closing comments before we watch this last video? Close it up.
I'm fucking happy to hear that. Thank you for letting him know that.
Guy shit.
All right, play us the video. Let's go. Let's get some reaction content.
Cool. This last video is from content creators that I really do enjoy their video a lot, and this is probably the most fuego opening I've ever seen on content creators page. So
Here we go again.
Hey,
With my man, aka my best friend. Hey, tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. Well,
guys, I really appreciate you.
That was a sick intro. I like that a lot.
They made that up.
How long did that take you to do?
To like cut it together?
Yeah, like all of it.
Oh, to cut it together was quick. To come up with that, it was quick actually too.
To come up with it, it was actually a freestyle.
Yeah, it was
You
a
guys,
freestyle. And it just
smart motherfuckers right there. Smart.
Here we go.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, of course. Listen, guys,
What
whenever you
type
have
of
time.
content do you guys do?
What'd you say?
What type of content do you guys do?
Do you want to explain it?
We do reactions. We talk about like real life situations, stuff like that.
We vlog. We do. It's a lot. But the best part is what we're doing right now. Honestly, it's to have real conversations and to interact with the audience and to interact with others. So, but
That's how I met them.
Help everybody. Everybody needs help, and sometimes a conversation makes a difference. So,
yeah,
that's what we like to do.
Oh, keep it up. Keep running. I'm
appreciate
definitely gonna stop after this.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, I really appreciate you guys stopping by. I really appreciate all of you guys being here. Anyone watching, I hope you got some good information out of all of us doing this. And I guess we are going to call it a night. Thank you all for coming here. And we're going to leave it like that. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
They know they shouldn't have let me start speaking my mind in the booth. Start speaking the truth.
This was really good. Anyone still watching, I really appreciate you coming by, and really hope you got some good information out of what we do here. I really want to start opening up this conversation between men and women, and I think there's a lot of information that can be given through what we do here. So definitely tune in every Wednesday at 8 p.m. We're going to be having a lot more of these talks. So we could paint the perfect